welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shannon. I'm 29 years old and I'm 33 weeks pregnant with my first child, a boy. Today I thought it would be fun to share 4 things I didn't know about pregnancy until they happened to me in my pregnancy. I feel like when we as a society see somebody who's pregnant or ask a pregnant person about their pregnancy, it's easier for that pregnant person to omit details and just say things are going good and not go into the nitty-gritty things that they didn't know. And I feel like because of that, there were a lot of things that took me by surprise in this pregnancy, things that I didn't see online, things that no amount of reading would have prepared me for. I just didn't know what I didn't know, if that makes sense. So I want to share some of those things with you today. And if you hear construction noises or even some like weird chewing noises in the background, there is construction going on in my backyard, which is really loud. And then my dog is also in the room with me, although she's not visible. She might be at some point in the video though. So if you're newly pregnant and just looking ahead at what's to come, or if you're further along like me and just want some validation that we're all kind of going through the same thing, please stick around and keep watching. And while you're here, I would love to have you subscribe. I'll be posting at least 1 video a week every single week from here on out. Okay, let's get into the video. The first thing that took me by surprise in pregnancy that I had no idea about was lightning crotch and round ligament pain. I feel like nobody really talks about it, so I kind of want to discuss it a little bit, and I'm lumping these two together because they're very similar. Lightning crotch is a sharp shooting pain down in that area, and round ligament pain is a dull, achy pain in your uterus. I get mine like right here. I get both pretty often now that I am 33 weeks pregnant, but I first started getting lightning crotch actually on Christmas Day when I was 15 weeks pregnant. When I first experienced it, I was really freaked out and worried about a miscarriage because every time I took a step, it was shooting pain. And it was weird to me too because at that point I was still doing high intensity interval workouts. I was very in shape and doing boxing conditioning, and I had never heard of it before. So I actually ended up doing some research online. I rested as best as I could and I hydrated, and it ended up going away, thankfully, because it's really not a pleasant feeling. The same is true for round ligament pain, and in my 3rd trimester, I've noticed that I have round ligament pain more than I have lightning crotch. It's been gradually picking up since the 2nd trimester as I'm getting bigger, and I also notice it more when I'm dehydrated or when I haven't had enough sleep or after I've exerted myself. And I'm not really getting a lot of sleep now because my baby really likes to dance in the moonlight. He's awake all night. The second thing that took me by surprise in pregnancy was the testing for gestational diabetes and how common it is to fail the first test. Gestational diabetes is diabetes that presents itself in pregnancy, and from my understanding, there are certain hormones in pregnancy that can cause you to be insulin resistant, which causes gestational diabetes. I'm sure there's a more detailed explanation of this, but that is the gist that I understand. Please feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to spread misinformation at all. Gestational diabetes is fully treatable and can be easily stabilized through diet monitoring, so that's good news. To test for this, at least at my practice, they first have you do a 1-hour glucose test, and what you do is fast for 12 hours before your test, and then you come in, you drink a sugary, clear, or it could be colored for some people, but my liquid was clear. So you drink this liquid in under 5 minutes, and then an hour after that, like an hour on the dot after that, you need to have your blood drawn to test your blood sugar levels. There's a certain number that you don't want to go over for this. Mine was 139, and unfortunately I scored a 154 and failed. And when you fail, you have to go back for a longer test. In my case, it was a 3-hour test, but I have heard of 2-hour tests before. I found out that I failed my glucose test on my 29th birthday. I think like 26 weeks pregnant at the time, and I spiraled all morning and cried for most of the day. And then I decided to do a little research and talk to some people, and after doing that, I found out that it's actually very, very common to fail the first test and then pass the next test. So I was extremely hopeful. Apparently, doctors go with a more conservative number for the first test just to be safe, and then the second test is more diagnostic. The second test is similar in that you'll go in again on an empty stomach, and when you get there, they'll draw your blood and get your baseline blood sugar levels. Then you'll drink the sugary drink, and an hour after that exactly, for the next 3 hours, they'll take your blood, if that makes sense, to measure your levels. So you go in, drink the drink in 5 minutes, and then an hour after that, they take your blood sugar levels. An hour after that, they do it again. And an hour after that, they do it for the third and final time. This test is definitely harder to get through. The girl that was drawing my blood told me that people have passed out and thrown up before. So do your best to keep your food down. Definitely bring something to occupy yourself. Otherwise, all you're gonna be thinking about is how hungry you are and how gross that drink was. I ended up passing this test, so gestational diabetes was something that I didn't have to worry about, but I wish I had known that this was coming, so I wasn't so worried about it. The next thing I didn't know about in pregnancy until it happened to me in pregnancy was kick count monitoring. This was something I had never heard of until week 28 when I came into my doctor's appointment, and the nurse basically handed me a piece of paper and was like, count your baby's kicks at the same time every single day, twice a day. For about a week at like 11 a.m. and 11 p.m., I was setting aside 15 minutes each time of the day to count how many kicks my baby was kicking. It wasn't until about a week or so in that I was out and about during the time that I was supposed to be counting kicks when I was like, there has to be an easier way that I don't have to use this piece of paper. So I went on the App Store on my iPhone and I found this app called Count the Kicks, and it stopped me after 10 kicks. And I was like, what the hell, that's weird. And after thinking about it, it dawned on me that you're only supposed to count 10 kicks at a time. So basically choose 2 times a day every day that you can consistently count your kicks. All you have to do is open the app and then tap the screen every time your baby kicks. And as long as your baby is kicking at least 10 times within a 2-hour time frame, you're all good. I highly recommend that app. It made my life so much easier and actually brought a lot of understanding to me. I'm not sponsored or anything, but I will say my husband and I just started taking a birthing class last week, and the instructor even named that app specifically. So I felt like I was doing the right thing when she said that. Also really like this app because there's a timer on the app that tells you how long it takes to get to 10 kicks. And it monitors the strength of the kicks each time you're checking. So if there's any huge difference that you need to be aware of, you can see that all visually in the app. It's really nice. And the final thing that I'm going to list in this video that I didn't know about until it happened to me was the Tdap vaccine. According to my doctor, it's recommended that all pregnant people get the Tdap vaccine in every single pregnancy. And then if you have people around you who are going to be around the baby as well and they haven't had their vaccine or booster recently, it's recommended that they get it as well. The Tdap vaccine protects against tetanus, diphtheria, I think I said that right, and pertussis. And pertussis is whooping cough, if you didn't know. All of those things can be deadly for babies, so that was something that was extremely important to me and my husband to get and to have our families get. But obviously talk to your care provider. I don't know your specific situation, so do what is right for you and your health. But for me personally, my husband and I went and got it. I was recommended to get this between weeks 28 and 36 of my pregnancy, and I think I got it in week 29, and it was free to me through Walgreens. Check with your care provider or your hospital again though, because I know some hospitals offer it for free. My hospital did offer it, but they had very specific time periods that you could get it in. It was a very limited time spot, so it just didn't work for my schedule specifically, which is why my husband and I went to Walgreens and just scheduled it that way, got it done, and it was free to us there as well. I didn't have any issues at all with the vaccine. I was moving my arm and hydrating throughout the day. I noticed a little bit of soreness the next day, but I will say I did post a TikTok about that experience, and I did have a lot of women commenting on the video saying that they were sick for a few days or had some soreness. So I think it affects everybody differently, but I do highly recommend drinking a lot of water and moving your arm around with any vaccine because it'll help you avoid those side effects. So those are a few of the things that caught me by surprise in my first pregnancy. I didn't want to make this video too long, but there were a few other things that were unexpected for me. So if you like this video, go ahead and like this video so I know that you've enjoyed it, and I'll make a part 2. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be posting at least 1 video a week every single week, and I would love to have you here. Bye. Did any of these things surprise anybody else, or am I the only person that went into pregnancy completely blind?